It's early November now. You join me on my syndicate lake. I'm not going to disclose where I am out of courtesy for the other members, but I'm going to talk you through my approach, how I get ready, how I spend time at the lake throughout the colder months. Watercraft is really important this time of the year. November, December, while we're still having the tail end of the milder temperatures, autumn's clearly here now, winter's just round the corner. The lake temperature's going to be dropping. The patterns of foot movement around the lake from anglers is starting to change. Fish habits are starting to change. I came here 48 hours ago before this session started just to get a sense of where the anglers were, where the bait was being applied, so then I could come back in 2 days' time just to assess whether that bait was being responded to by the fish or whether there'd been any success around the lake from other anglers. But I think the main thing to emphasise on is those patterns are starting to change. So if you can stay in tune with whatever lake you're on, particularly through November and December, it can really start to help you unlock what might happen next. And by that, when I say what happens next is the water temperatures are going to go much lower, footfall is going to decrease even more, and depending on what lake you're on, those fish will definitely start to shoal up in preferred areas of the lake. Depending on the quantity of fish in your lake will depend on how many shoals that they will tend to drift into. Where I am is quite low stock. I've got some historical insights on where the fish may or may not have gone historically through the winter. But tap into November and December, keep an eye on those early signs of what's going to come next, because it can really start to unlock when the water temperatures are much lower and it's really cold. You've still got those signs that you've got in your mind of how the lake built up prior to the real cold snap coming. But if I think back to what's the most important factor, it's going to be my rig preparation. I always go with lots of pre-tied rigs throughout the year, but essentially in the winter I make sure that I go out with all my favourites. If I need to tweak things, I will, but I want to go out knowing that I've got a full rig box of everything I need. Clearly our hands get really cold in the winter. Trying to fiddle around with small hook links and small rig components, it's really tough. Your house is nice and warm, you've got good light, you can put all your essentials out on the table. So always go out with pre-tied rigs. When I go out with a full rig box, I don't know, I have that extra little stride in my step, knowing that I've got everything I need to deploy at any point throughout my session. Keeping warm in the winter is absolutely vital. Always having the right volume of clothing with you, but also having spares with you. If you don't feel warm on the bank, you're going to get uncomfortable, you're going to be restless, you're not going to angle as well as you will do if you're togged up and nice and warm. It's strange, but years gone by, I wouldn't even wear gloves when I'm fishing, but I do always have some decent gloves with me. Waterproof jackets. I have two, I have one with me, I have one in the car. I have a nice fleece on me, I have another fleece in the car. So stay warm, stay dry, and you will get the maximum amount of effort that you need to apply from your fishing. I always make that extra bit of effort as well in the winter, making sure that I've got plenty of hot drinks that I can have. It's nothing nicer on a cold day than firing up the kettle and having a nice warm brew. I also make sure I look forward to something nice to hot to eat as well in the evening. I tend to rustle up something as well from scratch. It takes a little bit more effort, but burns a little bit of time with the light levels dropping as early as they do. Gives you something to do, gives you something to look forward to, so while you're listening for signs after dark, you're cooking yourself a nice meal, washing it down with a nice cup of tea. So always have spare gas with you, get all your essentials, bring all your food with you, look after yourself. bait preparation and, more importantly, bait application for me through the winter, again, is really, really important. As I said, I'm here now in November. I came to the lake here a couple of days ago just to see what the angling pressure was like and how the bait application was working. I came here first light. I was quite surprised by the amount of bait going into the lake this time of the year. But coming back here now, 48 hours later, I'm starting to see areas of that bait that's been untouched and is being picked off by the birds. I prepare all my bait at home during the winter. I reduce the oil content in my bait and I'm fishing for single bites at a time. So I'm using the smallest spawn that I can get away with and I'm applying it with what I hope is more accuracy than I would do any other time of the year. I spend a lot of time and I'm quite specific about my marks around my marker sticks to make sure that my bait application is landing very close to the same proximity as my hook bait. I'm putting really small parcels of bait into the lake and I want to know that my hook bait is sitting perfectly with a really small amount of really refined bait. I'm looking for pockets of silt, I'm looking for untapped areas of the lake, I'm looking to avoid other anglers' baits. I'm looking to do something a little bit different than what's been going on normally. And again, if you apply that etiquette throughout your angling, when it comes to the winter and you're really having to be more specific and more accurate, probably targeting specific areas of the lake where those shoals are, I think having that application is really, really key. Accuracy and the volume of bait that you apply, for me, throughout the winter is really, really key. So in summary, applying all that finesse and accuracy, specifically during the winter, apply that extra bit of precision and it will definitely, for me, give you a bigger chance of putting those odds in your favour during those colder months.